Amongst roles in organisations, the role of Chief Operating Officer is often one of the most widely interpreted and often the hardest to pin down. What does a Chief Operating Officer do?
Whatever role we're in, almost inevitably, it's very challenging. My role is to share the lessons of my 30 plus years of experience of running businesses, developing teams, leading turnarounds and assessing businesses for acquisition.
In all of this, collectively, across the whole of my career, I've been involved with over 150 different operating organisations and environments.
My name's Rob Evans and I hope you find this content both enjoyable and of great value.
What does a COO do? What's our role? It's probably the most elusive role to be able to define. In many ways, it depends. Is our role clear? I think a Chief Operating Officer role tends to fall into one of four categories. The first category is the individual has come through the operations route. They run operations from quotes and sales orders through to the ultimate delivery of whatever product or service, solution or experience it is that we deliver, and through to post-sales. They've run the operations side of the business, and their term is, or they run the operations side of the business, and their title is Chief Operations Officer. A second flavour of Chief Operations Officer is the individual that doesn't necessarily come through the operations route. Often they come through a finance route, but they run not only finance, but the operations, human resources, legal, and the IT of the organisation, what's collectively often called the back office. So that's a second flavour of Chief Operations Officer or Chief Operating Officer that we may encounter. The third flavour is where the COO or Chief Operating Officer is the de facto number two to the CEO. The individuals in the business often report through them to the CEO, and the CEO often is very front end focused of the business, and they often are very focused on the internal development of the organisation and managing the day-to-day. Often the CEO in these circumstances, this third flavour of what does a Chief Operating Officer do, is where the CEO is more externally focused and the Chief Operating Officer is more internally focused, internally development focused, and heavily involved with the nuts and bolts, the day-to-day of running the business.
Well, I hope you're enjoying and getting great value from this video. Please give it a like and please subscribe. It really helps. Thank you.
The fourth flavour of Chief Operating Officer is where the individual is almost minister without portfolio, reports directly to the CEO, often doesn't have any other direct reports, and is deployed tactically on specific projects, particularly in the larger organisations where there's many things happening and many moving parts, and they're deployed to firefight and reorganise particular parts of the organisation, review at times particular parts of the organisation. It's a senior role. They have the title of Chief Operating Officer in the organisation, but the nature of their role is quite different from the first three flavours that I've talked about. So these are the four different flavours I think that we will find for what a Chief Operating Officer does. The answer to that question, what does a Chief Operating Officer do?
I think there's many flavours of Chief Operating Officer, and I think that's one of the immediate priorities for us whenever we set out on a journey as a new COO, is to really clarify what the expectations of our role is, the clear definitions of our role. And in many ways, often it offers up the opportunity of a lovely blank canvas, and we can use all of the skills that are and experiences and mindsets and knowledge at our disposal to be able to make the role really what we want to make of it. And most roles don't tend to have the flexibility that Chief Operating Officer does in terms of being able to craft out a role that really suits our personality and the value that we can bring to the organisation. So this programme is centred around a leadership methodology called PPMC Leadership, People, Principles, Mechanics and Culture.
This is a vehicle I call PPMC Leadership. I think the successful teams tend to cover four bases really well. That's People, Principles, Mechanics and Culture, hence the name PPMC Leadership. And the programme is structured around that, not only to teach this framework, but also to use it as the structure for guided reflection and also a vehicle for sharing ideas, provoking thought, and sharing methods. How do we set about self-development as COO?
You can find the programme by clicking the link in the description or the comments. Also, I do keynotes and talks, lunch and learns, breakfast and learns, online forums. There's an opportunity there also to join the App Performance Highway community and there's lots more content.
If we are likely to go into a Chief Operating Officer role, then the key for us is to understand the context in which we're operating, understand the expectations of our CEO, the individual almost certainly that we're reporting directly to, and also of our colleagues, and to frame our role in that context if it hasn't already been defined. And the great aspect of this is that in many ways the Chief Operating Officer role is probably one of the clearest roles that lends itself to having more of a blank canvas, to be able to define the role based on our own strengths and characteristics and the areas where we really like to focus our particular attention. To what extent are we able to shape our role? We really have to understand the organisation, but we have a strong likelihood of being able to shape that role in our own spirit. So, in answer to the question, what does a Chief Operating Officer do? It depends.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that and got great value from it. Please don't forget to check out the link. Also, please give it a like and please do subscribe. As I said, it really does help. I'll see you in the next video.